The American Southwest. Vast, wild, untamed, majestic. For those who have never been there before, it may seem like one large, empty desert. However, that could not be further from the truth. The Southwest contains much more life and diversity than what first meets the eye. As a region, the Southwest has many characteristics in common. However, just as any other region of the United States, even the Southwest can be broken down into individual ecosystems that contain different plants and animals from other neighboring ecosystems. One such example of an ecosystem can be found in and around Sedona, in the heart of Arizona. Because of several environmental factors relating to its geography, including its location on a creek and being situated down in a valley, Sedona could almost be considered an oasis of life compared to much of the rest of the Southwest. In fact, the valley is so green it is commonly referred to as the Verde Valley, meaning Green Valley. Before we can begin describing the diversity of life that can be found near Sedona, it is important to understand the area's climate and location. Sedona is located in north-central Arizona and is part of Coconino National Forest. The area has a semi-arid climate. Climate is the average weather of an area over time. Several factors are included in the measure of climate, including temperature, precipitation, and wind. For Sedona, a semi-arid climate means that it usually receives less than 20 inches of rain and has generally warm temperatures. In addition to climate, the landscape of the location itself helps govern the plants and animals that can survive in the ecosystem. Sedona is part of Oak Creek Canyon, so the terrain is rocky and mountainous. Because the land is so rocky, there's only a very thin layer of soil available. Only plants that have shallow roots can survive. Also, only animals that are adapted to live above soil and in warm, dry conditions are able to thrive. In contrast to the harsh environment created by the dry, rocky soil, Sedona is located on Oak Creek, which flows almost year-round. The creek introduces an entirely different habitat option to the Sedona ecosystem. For example, these crawfish, or these fish, have a home and can contribute to the overall biodiversity of the Sedona ecosystem. Biodiversity is the variety of organisms in a particular ecosystem. While there are 3 different levels biodiversity can be measured on, the most common is species diversity. This is simply how many different species exist in an ecosystem, and the count includes both plants and animals. Biodiversity is important to an ecosystem because each organism plays a role in helping maintain the ecosystem as a whole. In addition to relationships between living organisms, to understand biodiversity, we must also understand adaptations that different plants and animals have to help them survive in an environment such as the semi-arid climate of Sedona. One prime example is the collared lizard, found all over the Sedona landscape. Its coloration, similar to the rocky landscape, helps it hide from predators, while its size allows it to be very quick when it must escape from a predator. Coloration is a common adaptation that helps various animals hide from their predators. Similarly, both animals and plants use coloration in other ways. Animals, like the collared lizard, use color to hide, but others are brightly colored, like most flowers, to either attract animals or insects, such as bees to flowers, or to warn animals not to eat the flower. The plants around Sedona and the rest of the Southwest have one very important adaptation that allows them to survive in such an environment, and that is a short root system. The terrain in the Southwest is so rocky that only a very thin layer of soil is available. The soil that is available is not very nutrient-rich because it is so thin that any rain simply washes the minerals out, so the plants must also be able to store their nutrients well. Regardless of this, there are many plants and trees which are able to survive, such as the agave plant, the prickly pear cactus, the ponderosa pine, and different kinds of molds, to name a few. Several species found in the Southwest are very interesting. For example, agave, also known as the century plant, is a unique type of plant that lives for many years without flowering, but once it flowers, the whole plant dies. Ecosystems such as that of Sedona are beautiful and majestic, but also very fragile. Human interaction with the environment has caused several changes to the landscape of Sedona. Sedona is a popular tourist destination. Many who visit Sedona wish to go hiking, but stray off the trails, which can kill plants and animals in such a delicately balanced ecosystem. Human interaction also affects the water quality and quantity in Oak Creek, one of the only water sources for the area. The town continues to grow, causing more and more destruction of habitats. Because the town continues to grow, many natural processes such as forest fires are not allowed to occur. One problem this has caused is that there are more trees present than ever before. That causes the smaller plants and shrubs to be unable to get the sunlight they need to grow, which in turn reduces the biodiversity. The Southwest is a beautiful place in its own right, so we must be careful when interacting with the delicate balance that allows for the biodiversity of places like Sedona. That does not mean that we shouldn't go out into the ecosystem and enjoy the sights, sounds, and smells that make up such a pretty landscape. We just have to remember to be respectful observers.